Friendship and brotherhood are two values within the IBEW that most of us believe exist. But oftentimes, seeing is believing. Well, two sets of IBEW Local 3 brothers have proven these two traits with their story. Here's Dominic Giarratano with more from New York.
In construction, just like in any other business, it's common to make friends on the job. But how far does that friendship really go? What are the limits? If a friend came to you and told you that he needed a kidney, would you give it to him? Could you? Would you literally give a part of yourself to help out someone else? Well, that's exactly what happened within the ranks of IBEW Local 3 in New York City. Not once, twice. By all outward appearances, John Sellis lives a life that is probably much like thousands of other Local 3 members. But John is also the recipient of one of the most incredible gifts imaginable. A healthy kidney donated by fellow Local 3 brother Mike Keir. Believe it or not, Sellis and Keir's paths almost never crossed at all. It wasn't long ago that Sellis, a sub-foreman on a job, had the chance to add Keir to his crew, and passed.
Kevin Shea was a foreman. I met Kevin and John walked in the room. Kevin said to John, John, you need another guy? And John kind of looked up in the air a little bit and said, nah. He's like, take him anyway. And I was thinking to myself, geez, thanks a lot.
When Sellis was 22 years old, he learned that he had a genetic form of kidney disease. And over time, his kidney function decreased to only 20%.
I was taking medicine at the time. The doctor had me on probably more medication than I take now, but he had me on a lot of medication, to keep my body basically to handle what the kidney function wasn't handling. There's a lot of things the kidney does that you really don't realize.
By now, some time had passed since their near miss of working together. This time, they were both on the same job when Mike found out about John's kidney problem.
But I didn't know how serious it was, and he was telling me that he was going to have to go for a transplant or a dialysis, and I was kind of shocked. And I said to him, I said, well, what blood type are you? And he said, O positive. I said, well, so am I. I said, when are we going to get tested?
To me, it's a big thing. To him, he says it's not, to him, it's nothing. I mean, that's the way he come across as far as saying it was nothing to give a kidney, which, I mean, that's just the way he is. But
when I said, I can't thank you enough, he says, it's nothing. Really, he really meant it's nothing.
Right.
Have you had surgery?
Like he shook your hand, that's how he meant it. I shake your hand, that's as easy as I'll give you my kidney.
On May 4th, John and Mike's transplant took place.
He calls to make sure. We should be the one calling him. You sure everything's fine? You feeling good? No, he always has to check to make sure he's feeling fine.
He wants to know my medicines, everything's still checking out. And he's always interested in how it's going.
What can you say about Mike now?
What can I say about Mike? I mean, he's one of a kind as far as I know. I mean, he's the nicest guy. I mean, for somebody I really haven't known that much, I mean, we've kind of like become real brothers now. I mean, it's almost like he has another brother.
Since the surgery, both men have returned to work. John is happy to once again be the provider for those he loves. As for Mike, you get the feeling he'd do it all again, if he could.
All it was for me was just to help out a friend. I just, I knew he needed a little bit of help, and I wasn't afraid to do it, and I just wanted to, to help him and give him maybe a better quality of life with his family.
Well, I think he's like the ultimate brotherhood. I mean, I think of him as like my brother now, because really it's part of him and me now. So we're really, besides being brothers through work, we're kind of brothers through genetics now, I guess. So it's really the ultimate.
The generosity in Local 3 was found between two other brothers as well. Harvey Liebman, an IBEW veteran of 27 years, never ran from a hard day of work in his life. It's an occupation he still knows well. But these days, a visit to the job site is just for a quick hello to old friends. It's a brief stay. Way too brief. You see, kidney disease took away the job he loved, but it could have taken away his life. When Harvey was diagnosed in 1998, he was told back then a kidney transplant would someday be his best hope.
You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was devastated. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know too much about kidney failure or anything. So the first thing I thought I was going to die. That's the first thing. I came home and told my wife that the doctor says within 5 years I'm going to need a kidney transplant. And she went hysterical. I was hysterical. Kids found out. They went nuts.
Hi, Greg. How's it going? Herb Munhank, himself a longtime Local 3 member, has a friendship with Harvey that goes back some 16 years. They met on the job and clicked right away.
We became instant friends. We're so much alike. My wife always says, well, we can be interchangeable husbands. That's how much alike we are. We like the same foods, the same music, everything the same.
Same dumb jokes.
Same dumb jokes. Well, I don't think they're dumb, but
What happened when Herb found out about your condition?
he says to me, when you're ready, you let me know. I'm going to give you my kidney. And I stopped in my tracks. I go, what, are you kidding me or what? He goes, no. I spoke to my wife. I spoke to my kids. And excuse me. I couldn't get over it. It was the most selfless thing that anybody has ever done for me.
What was going through my mind was, I know that Harvey would have done the same thing for me. And I spoke with my family, and they were behind me all the way. And it was something that I felt like I had to do.
After a few years, the effects of the disease began to take its toll, and in 2005, Harvey's condition took a dramatic turn for the worse.
I mean, he would do dialysis 4 hours, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know, and he wouldn't get home sometimes till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. He had to get up at 4:30 to get ready for work, to leave for work. So he only had maybe 2 or 3 hours sleep, because it would take him a couple hours to get to bed because of his restless legs and the shaking that he would encounter.
That was probably the scariest thing that ever happened to me. They started out with a small needle. It was in size 17. I'll never forget, I looked at that needle and it was like a tunnel.
In February of this year that he was really starting to feel it, and that he was carpooling with Herb for a while. They made it easy for him because Herb would drive both ways. He would go to Herb's house and Herb would take over the car, and they would drive, he would drive both ways, so he could sleep. He got an extra hour's sleep going into the city.
He would get weak periods, he would get dizzy, and he had to have the operation in his arm where they would be able to put the dialysis in. I know that was always bothering him. And it was something that you didn't want to see your best friend go through.
On February 28, 2006, the transplant took place, and after a pretty rough recovery, Harvey was able to return home. Gone is the job and the career he knows so well, but in return, he's been given a future that just a few short months ago was far from certain. Herb was back on the job just 3 weeks after surgery. He's minus a kidney, but on the plus side is the satisfaction of knowing he was there when a brother needed him the most. You think Herb's a hero?
Do I think he's? No. I know. I know for a fact he is. He's definitely a hero. And as we were talking to some of the guys on the job today, and one of them said, there's a place for him up in heaven, already waiting. Big master bedroom suite, without a doubt. Him and his whole family, they're all the same.
And
the whole family's the same.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe that's the reason why Harvey and I met 16 years ago. Maybe it was all in God's big plan, his master plan.
Yep.
Right.
I think these individuals are, in my book, more than heroes. I reflect back on the founding fathers of the IBEW and what their thought was, and bringing all electrical workers together to form a brotherhood. And you have these two members of Local 3, Brother Keir and Brother Munhank, come together and give something of themselves. And it brings to light that we as a brotherhood, as members of an organization, of members of Local 3 and the IBEW, that when one member gets cut, we all bleed. And I think that is a true testament to these two individuals.
Local 3 brothers Muntink and Kier have given the most precious gift this holiday season, the gift of life. For Our Power, I'm Marnie Brooks.